All right, now on to one of my favorites, the Ag Hall of Fame Pioneer Awards. Year after year, I am amazed by the sacrifice and hard work of these early leaders in our ag industry. This category honors individuals who've had a significant influence on the development of agriculture and who have unselfishly served their communities. This award is sponsored by Wheatland Bank. Please help me welcome Saul Martinez as he inducts his parents, Zenaido Sam and Angelica Martinez, into the Ag Hall of Fame with the Pioneer Award.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. It is a privilege and an honor for me to be here tonight. You have, okay, for those of you who know me, you know I got to get it out of my system, right? All my nephews are laughing. They're just timing to see how long it's going to take me to cry, okay? So it does get emotional anytime you talk about family. So tonight we're going to tag team this introduction. I'm going to introduce my brother, Sam Jr., who will be joining us here tonight. He's going to be giving a little story, and then I'll come and finish it before we see the video. But I just want to tell every one of you that we're proud and we're honored because we have parents and we have people that have made a big impact in our life. So it was kind of funny when we came in this and we had a Martinez table over here. That was real special because this couple here, my dad, Sam and Angelica Martinez. When you live to see the sacrifices made in a community, and you live to see the sacrifices made in everything they do, I don't know how to hold back the emotions. And before I get even more emotional, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my brother, and then I'll finish off the introduction. And but there's so many stories that we could share tonight, and I was committed to sharing one story that I'll share here just a little bit. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Mafia himself, Zenaido Martinez.
Hello, everybody. My name's Johnny Cash. No, just kidding. I've always wanted to do that, though. First of all, I'd like to thank my brother Saul for coming first, because I'm glad I didn't cry first. I'm glad he did. But I do have a bone to pick with him. If I would have known that this program had all this on there about my mom and dad, I wouldn't have spent 5 hours on trying to get this thing together. But so I'm going to try to make this as quick and as painless as possible. Never been very good at public speaking, especially looking a quarter of a mile down the road there and seeing all these people. I've really never done this before, but so I'll get started here. Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zenaido Martinez, also known as Sam Martinez. And there's a little story behind that. I guess I'll just put in a couple of footnotes while I'm reading. My boys warned me about this. Maybe I shouldn't do it, but I will. So, like I said, my name is Zenaido, and I go Zenaido Martinez Jr. after my dad. And you kind of wonder, how do you get Sam out of Zenaido? Well, you don't. When my father first arrived here in Washington, he didn't know a lick of English, so he went looking for work, and he found this farmer, and he was kind of like 6 sheets to the wind. He wasn't on his 5 senses or 7 senses, whatever it is, and he was just looking for a job, and he asked him what his name was, and he said Zenaido, and he goes, well, if you want a job here, you're going to have to be called Sam. And he goes, well, I'll take anything I can get, so from that point on, he was called Sam. But I'd like to open this with a verse from the Bible. And it reads like this: I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And This verse has indeed held true for my parents and has been applicable in any situation. So my parents started this journey in 1959, and they married and started traveling the United States and following the Sun Belt. Didn't know how really to get along or do anything other than just work in the fields and, labor work. So they traveled through the western states and ended up in Homestead, Florida, where they picked tomatoes, and then they migrated north into Virginia, picking tomatoes as well. They moved on west to Arizona and California, where they worked in grape orchards and in cotton fields. And at this point, you can almost imagine they lived a pretty rough life. It's pretty hard labor work. They moved on to Minnesota, where they started thinning and cleaning beets. While in North Dakota, my father was employed by a man that he wasn't a very nice man, but my dad needed a job, so he worked for him anyway. While they were there in Minnesota, yours truly was born in Fargo, North Dakota. So parents moved, from that point, they moved west into Mesa, Washington. Great little city. So he was looking for employment, like I said, and he ran into this farmer, which named him Sam, Mr. Medlock. He worked for that family for like 3 years, and he moved on and started working for this most beautiful and wonderful couple, Ray and Lucille Bailey. And for the next 15 years, and by the grace of the Lord, he managed to build a company that became a staple in the Columbia Basin. Every time a child was born, like the program says, my dad asked for a 25-cent an hour raise. Well, if you can all imagine, after 12 kids, Mr. Bailey was really starting to wonder if he was just supposed to hand them the deed of the farm, just might as well. So my dad, he was a pretty big asset, we kind of want to believe, to the Bailey family. So he learned to work on the farm. He cultivated corn, beans, and anything that was supposed to be done on a farm. But his main deal was harvesting potatoes. That was his specialty. So he somehow convinced Mr. Bailey to let him buy a 10-wheeler to kind of incorporate everything that he was doing on the farm, right? And so my mom, bless her heart, she drove truck for the next 10, 12 years, for my dad, and ended up being his number one driver. So they bought more trucks, and they started their own custom potato digging service. They bought real estate and bought a gas station, and eventually they purchased their farm. My father's biggest highlight was not only to see his family growing, but waking up bright and early to see his crops peeking out of the ground. That meant the world to him. My father, with the help of all the employers like the Baileys, Medlocks, Doug Muse, and Frank Ochoa, and many more other farmers and friends that he encountered, they mentored him into quite a farmer. My father would ask Frank Ochoa, when do you know when to water irrigated wheat? And he would just simply say, you have to give it water like when you feed a baby, a bottle of milk, only when he needs it. And that is so true. I mean, there's an art, to farming, and a lot of people don't recognize it. So in closing, we are so proud of the achievements that my parents have accomplished. His entrepreneurship, his unconditional love for his family, his perseverance, and total dedication to his passion for the ag industry. my dad and my mom turned into very successful individuals. You see standing before, well, the individuals you'll see standing before you tonight. Mom and Dad, it's an honor and a blessing from our great God to receive this award. We are grateful to the Tri-Cities, the Columbia Basin, the Chamber of Commerce, for making this dream come true to our families. Thank you, Martinez family.
Thank you, Junior. As I'm speaking, I want my siblings just to go ahead and make their way on up, and I want to give you my little version of what my brother just tried to explain. You know, imagine a little boy and a little girl, well, I should say teenagers, come into the United States from a place where my father used to just be a goat herder out in these woods over in Mexico, in the state of Nuevo León, Mexico, where he's from. The video will explain it a little bit better, but anyway, he comes over here. I'm going to make this real quick. He comes over, he meets my mom, and they end up getting married in Raymondville, Texas. And from there, they moved to Oklahoma, and as my brother mentioned, they move all around to where the jobs were at, right? And the stories that they have are just unbelievable. They used to haul around, they had a pickup with a little canopy over it, and they had a goat in the canopy, in the pickup, because you never knew when you were going to run out of food. And the roads weren't really that great back in those days. Well, as they traveled through Florida, the Carolinas, Minnesota, they would travel to all these places, and sometimes, they had to sleep in their pickup, and they had it set up to where some of them slept underneath the rig, and the mom and dad slept inside the truck, and my dad would always be really embarrassed and kind of want to slip away, because he would just hear the goats, make their noise all night long in a park in a city where they were, waiting for the next morning. And throughout this whole journey that they had together, working from field to field, they had all these experiences. And one of the ones that catch my attention was, when they used to go to eat at places where they had to eat in the back of the restaurant because they weren't allowed to eat, with everybody else in the front. The reason I'm telling you guys this is because the determination to succeed and the love for his family just kept this couple going, and it's just incredible the drive that this couple had, and along the way, my sister here, she developed polio. She was one of the last of the children getting. They got polio, and they had all those struggles. Well, the doctor told them they had to settle down, so they decided to settle down in the Northwest, where they met these wonderful people here. And my dad wanted to make sure that he mentioned these three very... And it's just important to never forget where you come from. And for those people who gave you a hand, I never knew Mr. Medlock, but he's the one that gave him that name, Sam. And then it was Ray Bailey, who I think Matt and Bailey's here tonight, and I think he's a half-brother to one of my brothers, because that's why Ray Bailey gave him that raise every time he had a kid, because he wasn't sure if it was his or not. And we just keep teasing. And my brother Danny, where's Danny? He's the big red-headed one. We don't know where that came from, And so we just kid around like that, with all due respect. But Mr. Ray Bailey and Matt, and I remember when he was young and full of hair, and we just had a great time there in the little town of Mesa. We had so many memories there. And then later on, Doug Muse and Cindy Muse, who's here tonight, what a blessing. Doug Muse had, a 300-acre asparagus farm, and Dad used to hire all these people to come and work it, and he had time for each and every one of us. And the one thing that's not a big deal, but I just want to share tonight, that he shared with me, is when I was trying to farm potatoes, and I ended up going broke, but when I was asking him all these questions, he said, Saul, you want to be successful? Do what everybody's not. And that never left my mind, Mr. Muse. So I became a politician. Not realizing how crazy that was, right? And I also remember as a little kid, and that's another thing I want to attribute to my parents, how much of motivators. My parents were caught between so many people trying to make everybody happy. But he actually said when we lived in the little town of Mesa, there was 11 of us living in a 1,000-square-foot house. Don't ask me how he did that. But he caught me in a room one day, and I was playing an instrument that I made up or something, and I don't know, he just said, Saul, he said, son, one day you're going to be the mayor of Mesa. And you know, I took that to heart. Dad, no matter where you were, no matter what you did, no matter what piece of equipment you broke on the farm, if you learned from it, and you didn't do it, you know, intentionally, he supported you 100%. This couple was so motivating to each and every one of us, and the sacrifices they made to make sure that each and every one of my siblings were successful and productive members of society was just amazing. My dad was one of the first guys when he was working the potato fields with Ray Bailey, and I don't remember what it's called, but the spiders, man, you know, the spiders that they used to cultivate the potato fields? No, it wasn't the Dammerdyker, it was the Lilliston cultivator. You know, the manufacturer would come and set it up, and he would get Dad going, and then the guy would leave, and then Dad would move everything to do it right? I mean, this man was amazing. And then he got caught one time digging potatoes. Ray Bailey put a really good-looking rock picker to drive them, you know, to be picking rocks while he's driving the machine. And my mom was one of the very first drivers in these single-axle trucks to come and haul potatoes. Well, when my mom was coming to go get loaded, she found them both underneath, fixing something underneath a digger. Oh, that didn't set well with Mom. Boy, my mom just made a U-E, went right through the potato field and went home, and old Ray Bailey had to go and figure out how he was going to keep my mom and dad from, you know, divorcing. But, you know, all those memories. And then I'm going to say one more story that I committed to calling. You know, we have a story. You just imagine 11 kids, man. We had so many memories. And one of them is losing my brother Danny. Again, this Danny is a redhead of the family. We were migrating. We would go to, before my dad started farming, we used to go thin beets in Minnesota every summer. And there was 12 of us kids, and we didn't stop at restaurants because it was too expensive. But we'd always stop on the way back from Minnesota. We stopped in Spokane. I think it was the Safeway there in Spokane. And Mom buys her, you know, Snyder's bread, bologna, bean dip, Doritos. And as she's making these little sandwiches, she takes a bite and says, here, give this one to Joel. Here, give this one to Annabelle. Here, give this one to Amanda. And that's how she ate. You know, she ate by taking a bite and making sure it was okay and passing it on. Well, when it got to Danny, we were about 5 miles out of town, you know, already on top of Spokane Hill heading home. And my mom says, hey, give Danny his medication and give him a sandwich. Danny, where are you? Danny was nowhere to be found. Where's Danny? You should have heard my mom just bust along, just, where's Danny? Well, the next thing you knew, we realized Danny's not in the van. Dad goes through the medium of the freeway in this GMC van. It was like ball hauling through there. He gets on the other side. He gets at 80 miles an hour to get back. And I remember Dad putting it in park right in the middle of the street. Junior had to go and take it somewhere. And we get there, and next thing you know, we go into the Safeway, and there's this little redheaded kid walking, and he goes through the aisles, and he's just kind of go like this, and he walks and go like this. And he realizes that there's no more family there. So when people started recognizing he was lost, you know, they started giving him candy. He was having a blast, you know. When Dad gets there, you know, he realizes all these people were around this little kid, and we find Danny, and then boy, did we get in trouble for that, for not having Danny in the van, or somebody got in big trouble for that. But anyway, all these stories, and then just real quickly, the Pioneer Award. These two people here were, they just blazed new trails. Everywhere they go, Dad was not afraid to get things started. He worked so hard from sun up to sundown, making sure each and every one of us got there on time to go change our water in the morning and night. And, you know, he as you'll see in the video, he was one of the first farmers that brought the crop of buckwheat to our communities here in the Columbia Basin. And, you know, he was just an entrepreneur, and he got us all going in a business. And, it just so happened, he was raised at one time over 500 acres of potatoes and helped me raise a couple of crops of potatoes. But trucking is kind of where things ended up. And as I was thinking when this award was going on, I said, why not honor my parents? I think between my dad and my brothers and all the extended family that my mom has here tonight, who are all a part of our life and agriculture, I don't know, between Quincy and Boardman, I would venture to say about maybe 70% of the fields we've touched one way or other, either hauling wheat out of there, digging potatoes, something to do with agriculture. And, ConAgra Lamb Weston has been a big part of our life and who has helped my brothers and us get to where we are. But it took everybody that we came in contact with, that my folks came in contact with, to make what you're seeing up here is a beautiful family. There's 9 of us left. And I want to encourage each and every one of you tonight, if anybody knows how to live with my sister, I have to pay my brother-in-law to stay with her, right? But we do not go to bed at night upset at each other. We have our fights, we have our things, we're family, right? But this family right here is a product of those 2 people who have sacrificed their life. We lost 2 brothers on the way, but these people are the product of productive members of society, and we owe it all to the Columbia Basin, to Franklin County, to the people who have been a part of our lives. And I just want to encourage each and every one of you to never forget that when you're helping somebody, no matter who they are, when you do what Mr. Doug Muse did and take the time to help even the smallest kid who's probably got ADHD like Danny, this is what you get. You get success, and you get a community that thrives, and it's all because of people like you that made it happen for our family. And because of that, and because of what these people went through, if you guys know my family well enough, you can't take a nickel out of their pocket because don't ask me why, but they're just a bunch of tightwads like my dad. But the Martinez family has come together, and we're going to donate $3,000 a year. We want to give 2 $1,500 scholarships to a student that wants to go to college and that works in the agricultural community, and it's going to be managed through the Pasco Education Foundation. And we're going to dedicate $3,000 a year to help people the way many of you in this room help these folks and help our family. So with that, we want to watch the video first.
I was 14 years old. My mama got real sick, and I had to come to look for help. So I crossed the river. I went back, and my dad helped us to get the paperwork legal to come to the United States. And I'm so glad we did it. We travel all over the United States, follow the jobs. We have our baby girl, she got sick with polio, and the doctors told me, we have to settle down. So we pick up the big city of Mesa. We like that city to live. It was comfortable and peaceful. And that's where I started working with Mr. Melak and Ray Bailey and Doug Muse.
We have 11 children, and one passed away. They only live 24 hours. The rest of the family, we live, born here, 2 in North Cora, and then 1 in Oklahoma. The rest, by 8 people here, 8 of my family. And I'm so proud for each one, everyone.
We work real hard to reach the American dream. When I go see Mr. Melak, I ask him for work, and he said, yeah, what's your name? I said, Zenaido Martinez. He said, the heck, how about Sam? I told him, give me a job and you can name it whoever you want. So everybody knows me for Sam Martinez. My favorite crop was potatoes, but I raised buckwheat. One year, I was the first farmer to bring that product to the state of Washington. And they wanted me to try it, and I did, and I had a real good crop. I guess from there on, everybody started planting buckwheat. I had four row potato diggers, como 18 10-wheelers. We started with those trucks, old trucks, real old trucks, the Macarena and the Black Widow. And then I started with the semis, and now we're doing a lot of Martinez trucking. We own about 150 semis, and me and my boys. I guess farming and trucking is my best job I ever had.
I drive like 25 years every season, and go to the field to work with the hoe, and then I do whatever I can do and drive it with my kids and my truck.
I really appreciate what she did for me. She was my best driver. You have to do the job, what the boss asks you to do, and work hard. I'm so proud of my family because everyone learned what I teach him to do.
Thank you. Well, my boys already said everything I was going to say. But I welcome everyone here. I told my wife, I was telling my wife, I don't know, I got that many friends. But everybody looks familiar to me because maybe I work for everybody and I don't even know. But yo le doy gracias a todos los que vinieron esta noche, principalmente al Doug Muse y el Man Bailey. Ellos eran mis patrones y tengo mucho que agradecerles a ellos porque me ayudaron a sacar mi familia adelante. ¿Ok? Gracias.
God bless you, everybody, tonight. I really want to thank God with all my heart for everything He does for us till now. And I want to thank God for everybody do this, reconocer ese privilegio que nos dan. Y le doy gracias a Dios también. I just thank God for all my family. That's all for us, our family. And for this Columbia Basin place, we live for 60-some years old here already. And I appreciate everything, like my boy said, all the people who've been help us. I'm so proud for everybody. So they do this experience for us. And I just want to let you know, I appreciate everything and thank you very much for everything. I mean, but I can believe in all these years, all these beautiful people we have, as the one that help us to go ahead all the time. That's why we have this encouraged to do. And thank you for all my family here, my brothers and my nephews, and Eleazar Lichos is a part of our lives too. He lives in Hawaii right now, but I just want to say hi for everybody. God bless you, everybody.
This woman right here, she would make 45 to 60 breakfast burritos every morning and take them out so we didn't come home and make mess in the house. She would take them out in the Cadillac and would feed us, and she didn't have time to make sweets. So you know those Hostess raspberry filled donuts? Oh, they were the best. But this woman made it happen for us, and this team right here, this team, I tell you what, it's an honor for us to be able to be with them receiving this award. And thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and to the agricultural community. We couldn't thank you enough. One of the last things I was hoping to be able to see as I finish my political career, and I want to appreciate each and every one of my family members. And my dad wants to talk again. What do you want, Dad?
Yo mi sueño era.
My dream was?
Yeah, my dream was someday one of my kids be the mayor of Pasco. And he was. And he made me so proud and so happy. And another thing, I want to thank Mr. Frank Ochoa because when I start farming in the first year, I don't know how to irrigate my crops. And I asked him, Mr. Frank Ochoa, how you know when the wheat need water? And he told me, you got a lot of babies. You know when the babies get hungry, they ask for bottle. And that's the same thing with the wheat. When the wheat's gonna, you know when the wheat's gonna be ready for water. So I got to thank him for that. And thank you, everybody, to come tonight.
So we're also very happy to have my father. This man just went through quadruple bypass surgery a month ago, the day after Thanksgiving, and he made it. You know, we were really worried because he's a young 83 years old now, but with God's help, we're going to put a heart valve in him, and then he's going to be getting back on those trucks. We need to get him to work. He didn't let us sleep. Now we're not going to let him sleep. So with that, thank you so much. And here you go. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Martinez family. We knew that we had a little bit shorter program today, so we were counting on the Martinezes to fill up some time, and they did not disappoint. So thank you very much. We do have one little piece of business to conclude here, though, and that is to actually make the award. So we have Steve Lancaster with Wheatland Bank to make the award.
I'd like to thank you all for coming. Wheatland Bank is a proud sponsor of the Ag Hall of Fame, and it's especially proud to be the presenter of the Pioneer Award, which shows that these people, anybody in the United States, can have a dream and make things come true. This family is a prime example of that, no matter what the people back in the White House say. So, congratulations, Sam and Angelica.
One of the only trophies he's ever had, but it was worth it. This is awesome. Thank you so much.